we've actually launched this product a while back, this program promoting like the older miners. So as you can see from our screen right here, I don't know if everybody listening in right now knows what's in front of us, but aside from looking at that, right? So these are like S1s. So this event is, promoting like the older models from ANTMINER. So just to give you guys a rundown for the event, we're joined here by a few of our speakers and other representatives from Bitmain. So we're joined here by Dima, who's like who's mining since way back.
OG miner.
Yeah. So after Dima, we're also joined here by Xmay, who's the head of marketing for Bitmain. So we're going to be talking about several things later on during this event. So I guess Dima, Xmay, you can say hi as we wait for more people to join the event.
Hi there, I'm Dima. I'm an original miner way back from 2010. I got involved in Bitcoin in 2010 and other projects after that. I got more seriously involved in mining in 2013 with the introduction of Asics. And I've practically had all the Bitmain products since they've come out. And I look forward to seeing more from Bitmain for sure.
Nice.
Okay, I will do the introduction right now. Hi, everyone. I'm Xmay. I'm the head of marketing at Bitmain. Nice to meet you guys, and thanks for attending this ANTMINER coupon live streams. ANTMINER just means the miners that we released to the market in the past. For example, so like S1, S2, S3, S4, and S9 in all the old products. We use the word antique and miners because I think it's a punchline. It sounds very good and interesting. ANTMINER, antique. So it's a punchline. And from July 21st to September 21st, we launched the first coupon activities for antique and miners S1 and S2. Why S1 and S2? Because I think it's the beginning of all the romantic mining history because it's the first products, right? So it's not about monies, but it's about recalling the history and reflecting on the mining industry and also looking forward to the future. So first, I will let Justin and Margin tell us more about the S1 and S2.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. So I guess we could begin the first part of our program where we started introducing these two miners. So I think a good thing about this this live stream event compared to other live stream events is a bit more open. So later on we'll be telling some stories about the industry. So it's going to be quite interesting.
Yes.
I feel. So Margie, what are the two miners in front of us?
They are S1s.
Yeah,
Different color S1.
Yeah. So as you can see on this side, right, we have the specs for the S1s, which was launched in November 2013. So that's when ANTMINER started selling our miners. There was a big impact in the industry. That's where Bitmain first started its mega empire. So I think maybe a lot of you joining in now have maybe, let's say, previously bought S1s, or maybe if you haven't, then I'm sure you've heard of S9s, which have been like one of the game changers in the industry.
Yes.
And then I think an interesting thing about like the appearance of the miners is that like when you look at the modern day miners that we sell, like the S19s, the 19 series, right? We have the Hydros coming, which came out rapidly this year. So if you could look at the miners, you could just really see
they're
like
really small and light.
They didn't have like exterior casings back then. I think Dima later on could share more about his experience with these miners because I don't think I've mined with S1s. Yeah. So some changes we can see with the miners, which you can see is of course appearance. Then I think for the performance as well, right? Well, what was the? Oh yeah, I think from here, right? You can see like the hash rate and the power efficiency of the miners. So there's really a big improvement also from the development side from Bitmain. And I think I remember from Bitmain, like for our company at least, there's a lot of R&D development engineers here working hard to develop the next miner which is something everybody's always looking out for.
Mhm.
So, and another thing as well is like, the development, I think S1, like from the hash rate perspective and power efficiency, I think hash rate improved around 777-fold from S1 to S19 XP. And then I think for power efficiency, it improved around, I think, over 1,400-fold. So just seeing the development over the years, I think for a lot of people listening in as well, you bought the previous miners, you've seen, the wild west. I was talking to Deem a while ago, we were talking about the wild west of how the market is really always changing. It's always so exciting. That's why a lot of us also just loves this industry. So there's a lot of development that came into the industry, especially for developing the products. As X May just mentioned a while ago, this S1, S2, S3, S4. So a lot of these miners came out in different dates, which is something interesting as well, because I think even for Bitcoin price, what was it way back then?
Well, it's a long story. So for the Bitcoin price, it's always on a roller coaster ride since it debuted in 2009, and it kind of saw its first major rise in 2011, then spiked again in 2013. So as it gained a lot of popularity, so it kind of reached new heights in November 2013 and priced at 213 entering the month, and doubled to nearly like 435 just 12 days later. And by the end of the month, it had nearly tripled from there up to 1,200 before ending the year at $805. So we saw another major high in 2017, rising up to 19,000 by December 2017. And during 2018 and 2020, the Bitcoin price soared, closing out the year 2020 at like $28,000.
Wow.
So yeah, so it's like roller coaster ride going on. It's very exciting. And after the thrilling end of 2020 for Bitcoin, the digital currency started 2021 with a bang, and the cryptocurrency climbed to start the year, peaking above $64,000 by mid-April. So following a strong first quarter, and we all know what happens now. We're still on the roller coaster ride, so we're fine.
I think we're just always on the roller coaster ride.
It's always very exciting.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think one great thing also, like, because we're talking about like the development of the products.
Mhm.
So this also goes in line with Moore's law, like for the development of technology, like, miners used to come out more frequently, and then now, we've come to a point where, investing in miners becomes a bit more long-term, right? Because miners are re-advanced now. So the time it takes to release new miners takes a longer period of time. So, if you're planning on investing in mining, I think later on, Demo also could share something about like how we're releasing miners through so many variants before, Bitmain was, like providing miners for really everybody all the time.
Right.
Yeah. So I think that's something we could touch on later. So, price of Bitcoin now, like, I think it's quite interesting that we're in this current market. That's why, we're also holding this events just to, try to talk to more individuals in the market, try to get some insights, which is why we've invited Dima to this talk. So I think now we could bring in Dima. Maybe we could have some open questions with him and just get to know, like, his experience in mining and in the industry. For OG miners, right?
OG miners.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so can you introduce yourself? How did you enter the industry?
Yeah, absolutely. So back in late 2010, I had a circle of friends, and we're more involved in the libertarian movement here in the United States, which is a more freedom-oriented movement. And a good close friend of mine, he encouraged me to look into Bitcoin because he said it was the currency of the future. So I got into it casually, started mining casually. In fact, I have some of my first miners here. This was way back when graphics cards were really the way to mine them. So I got two of my original units. This was actually the second set of miners I used. This is the 560s. The first
Wow.
ones I used, yeah, right here. I got a frame.
Oh, wow.
I had them cleaned up yesterday, but my first ones I remember were the BFG 285s. And then I
Nice.
upgraded to them, and I was just hobby farming effectively up until 2013. Then Asics started coming out. I remember the first batch of Asics that actually shipped out into the wild. It was in January of 13. I think it was Avalon that shipped their first batch of 300, which was
Oh,
wild because there was
Bitmain.
butterfly. Oh yeah.
Wow.
Bitmain came out, I think they made the announcement in late 2013, the S1s.
Yeah.
But the start of 13 was pretty wild with Avalon. You had Butterfly Labs that kept pushing back their announcements for ASICs. You had a Swedish company called KNC Miner, and then Bitmain finally made the announcement in November for their S1s. And I'll tell you what, that was a very special time, and very special for me too, because of my long-standing relationship with Bitmain and with all the miners I've had over the years. It's practically the S1 I had the first batch. I ordered a ton of S3s after that, I think in middle of 2014. And throughout the years, I practically tried every single batch. You know,
So
it's a special time.
So way back, like, you know, like, because a lot of people order from Bitmain now, like through our website, right? How was the ordering process for S1s back at the time? Like, you know.
So back in the day, S1s were originally, there was an auction based online. So it was done through Bitmain Talk. I think you guys had auctions some through some kind of eBay alternatives that you guys had in China, Tabao or some similar variant. It was auction based. So it was based on the lowest bidder on Bitmain Talk. And that's a lot of times how you would acquire these first batch or get them secondhand. So that was always very special. And then the S3s and subsequently you'd have them ordered on Bitmain's site. When you guys got the ordering process down, then it's pretty much the same as it was back in the day. A little fine-tuned improvements, but it was a very special time back in the day.
So how many S1s did you own at the time?
So we only got two S1s. We got two of them. So that was good enough to make a determination that the form factor was pretty good. We enjoyed the tube factor, the form factor came. And then we got more of the S3s, which pretty much had the same, because the rest of the miners were very computer based. They're like U1 or U2 based, you know, much like the S2. But I really enjoyed the tube factor of the S1, S3, and subsequent odd series.
Okay, because seems like you've had experience with the early miners, right? And I think now, like, I remember we were talking a while ago, you're mining with the 19 series, right? Like, could you just like imagine, like, you know, if you run S1s beside S19s, like, you know, like.
It's absolutely wild to think that you could literally fit hundreds of S1s computational power compared to the S19s. It just shows how much the efficiency, the hash rate, the power consumption have all risen up. You know, back in the day, you'd mine off an outlet very easily. I mean, you would have, here's another antique that I pulled up. Everybody would have power supplies like this. And this was your like power switch. You turn it on and off of power supplies like this. It was a different time back in the day. It's very special how much the industry has evolved, and it's incredible.
Yeah, like, because even now, like, all the miners, like, for example, the 19 series, like, it's already PSU is already attached to the miner.
Exactly. Exactly. It's practically all integrated now and very seamless now.
Yeah, it's like the real term, like, just plug and play. Like, I remember,
literally, it's plug and play.
Yeah, like before installation was just like, oh, you got to do this, you still got to do that.
It was way more complex back in the day too, because when I started my farm, there were challenges every step of the way. You know, there were heat challenges because there's a big scale between having 1 or 2 miners than having 10, 20, 50, 100. You know, you had to make sure the power was good. You had to make sure you had enough ventilation going in. At every single scale, you would learn quite a bit. It was a very special time.
So when you were mining back then, like you started off with how many? Let's talk about like Asic miners, right? You started off with how many units before you started scaling up?
So my first ASIC miner was actually it was a manufacturer called KNC Miner. I have one of their big chips here. You know, this was one of their original chips they had. And I ordered quite a few of these units, and I think I had 10 of them. They were called Jupiters.
Oh.
And that was my first initial real farm, because before that I was just GPU mining, casually off a few computers. And then I scaled into I added 2 of the S1s, and then I scaled into a few dozen of the S3s. And after that, I kept scaling. Eventually, I had 500 of the S9s when they came out. And then that was really my peak and pinnacle. Now, I kind of stopped at just shy of a megawatt there.
Wow. That's a great, interesting run, right? Like just growing. I think a lot of people maybe listening as well. It's like, you know, like maybe they already have like, you know, like hundreds of miners or just starting out. So I think it's a good journey from once you get in, right? Just now you're like,
it's a very special journey, and obviously everybody will have a little different story to tell, because geographically you can have more benefits in being in a certain territory, like cheaper electricity, you're able to scale more, or a cooler environment, you're able to deal with ventilation better. So everybody has a little different story based on where they were geographically, because some geographical areas were way more conducive to Bitcoin growth in general. So it's like I said, a very special time in the industry.
Yeah. All right.
So what do you value the most when you were selecting a miner, like from your experience?
So the biggest thing I learned was general reliability and the power behind it, you know, the companies behind it, the sustainability of the companies, because a lot of companies, they went belly up. Most of the manufacturers I dealt with, they're no longer building units. Well, Bitmain has been around since 2013. It is the cutting edge, effectively. And I learned to value that trust that I built with Bitmain over the years. And that's one of the biggest things that comes to the mining industry, is you want a reputable manufacturer that you can trust. And for me, that decision was an easy one over time. It was definitely Bitmain.
And he was a volunteer admin in our Bitmain Telegram, right?
Yeah, for years I've been an administrator on your Telegram channel. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So I think like maybe you could tell us also like from your history of the purchasing like ANTMINERs, right? Which miners were the most you know, impactful for you?
Personally, I'd say the S9s were the cream of the crop. Like originally when they came out, they were the most revolutionary and they lasted the longest. Right now, though, I think the S19s are incredible as well. I think the 19s are the current cream of the crop, and they're the next generation, the iteration, I think, of how the S9s had their successful run. Now it's the S19. I think the S19 is the next successful factor of the S9. So it's both of those hold a very dear place in my heart. Yeah.
You know, I was talking to Russell Kent from Core Scientific at the time. Then he was saying like, what are S19s like? It's like they're built like a tank. You know, he's just saying like.
They're true. They're very durable. I hate to admit, I might have dropped 1 or 2 and they work just fine. I mean, they're highly durable. You know, that they lasted years and years.
Oh, I remember you mentioned something about S1.
Speaking of dropping, so So the management team in Bitmain company, like we always do, we did a drop miner test of S2 to just make sure that the customers can receive the packages perfectly, like safe and sound. So we like dropped it. I think some like the management team like dropped it from like second floor, which is like 10 meters high, and it just dropped the S2.
So something similar like those phone tests, right?
Yeah, it's like the drop like iPhone test, and it was
Right.
perfectly intact.
Yeah. So I think
Wow, that's incredible.
those are marketing campaign back then, right? Like throwing the miner outside, like it
Yeah.
still works, guys.
We should have had a video of it, just like the epic moment of dropping the S2 miner.
Actually, I was asking you the other day, right? Like, what's the video?
Yeah,
Like, I actually want to see the video.
Right.
That would have been a great marketing opportunity. I don't remember that drop video. You guys missed out on that one.
Yeah, it should be on TikTok everywhere. Yeah.
Works. Oh, so I think moving next, right? Like, I know you've been using you have a few of our 19 series. Like, what have you heard about our hydro products?
So I remember way back when you guys had originally launched, I think it was called the C1. That was that was your first hydro cooler. I never got that because I was never really into hydro cooling. I always did air cooling for the most part. But I know the newest generation of hydro coolers, they're really efficient, and I know they scale quite well, and you can pack a lot of them together in a mining container. I know that's very popular. It's very popular because people can transport them easily in a container, set them up easy, and you can hook them in quite easily.
Yeah. So I think like we also market the product like, you could mine anywhere, anytime, like every season of the year. So I think it's just like, one of the great things about the product, as you mentioned as well, like, you can just like pack it up, go somewhere new, where there's cheap electricity.
That's exactly it, because cheap electricity always attracts miners. A few geographically good regions I know in the United States was Washington. That's where I had one of my first bigger operations. I think back in late 14, I invested there because you had 3 counties. Chilean, Douglas, what was the other? It was one more county, but they had very cheap hydroelectric power, so somewhere around the vicinity of 2.5 cents all in, which is crazy for the United States.
Yeah, I think like the narrative over the years also for mining has changed, right? Like I remember before, I think a few years ago in the US, or maybe it still happens now, right? Like a lot of people saying like, it's like a lot of people just notice like creating so much noise, but then, actually mining has so much benefits to a country or industry once it picks up, right? Like job generation, like tax to the government, like all these things, like promoting the industry. So I think, over the years since I've been working in Bitmain as well, I've noticed this change where, mining for some part has become more positive in the industry.
Yeah, and yeah, in terms of sustainability as well, right? Because that's probably like what's the event is for too. Like we are kind of like trading our old miners for new miners, and it's about like sustainability and using clean energies, and that's what we are moving towards too.
Yeah. So Dima, let's see, what else do I have here? So can you tell us like your experience for the industry, like for mining? If like we have listeners here, right? Like what are some tips you have for them since you've been mining for ages,
Yeah, what are the things that people should know if they want to start mining, or they should have known before they started mining?
Absolutely. That's a great question. So I tell people there's always opportunity everywhere. No matter where you are, there's always opportunity. Look at how you can potentially use the exhaust heat, for instance, to heat something, like heat a home, heat a warehouse. Using that exhaust heat one way or another is a great opportunity and a byproduct. So always try to use that exhaust heat one way or another in any of your mining endeavors. So whether you're at a very high cost of electricity, use it to heat something up. That way you're not using that heat from another source. You're using the money that you're printing to heat something up. That's the right way to do it.
Right.
That's
How
one
about-
of the biggest tips I'll give people, for
Yeah.
sure.
How about like I know you've been mining since like 2010, right?
Yeah,
So-
correct.
What are some of your insights from the different cycles in the industry? Because we
So there's always going to be bull cycles, bear cycles. I mean, Bitcoin's been dead how many times? Dozens of times people have called Bitcoin dead, but it's a cycle, it's volatility. Bitcoin will remain generally volatile, but that volatility over time has gone down. My advice is, yeah, exactly. Great chart, Roger. That's
Chart
it.
out my-
That's
Wow.
it. Yep. And I'll tell you what, in 5-10 years, that's going to look very similar, except that graph will be a lot bigger. So my advice is stick with the industry 5-10 years. Yeah, I'm very bullish on Bitcoin long term. I think within 5-10 years, not financial advice, but I think within 5-10 years, one Bitcoin will be $1 million. So I'm very bullish on it. Just hold on, know your keys. Know how to secure your keys, do your own custodial services, and just stick with the industry. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I think like for example, also like buying miners during these cycles also, right? Like like a lot of people take opportunities now that miners are cheaper to set up their mining operations, right? Because a lot of we join a lot of events as well, right? We get a lot of talks from other experts and leaders of the industry saying that during the bear cycle, now is a good time to improve your operations. Then you reap your rewards during the bull market. You also follow that same the same methodology during these cycles.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think bear markets are a good opportunity to get into mining because a lot of times miners are actually less expensive during the bear markets. You have a lot of people unloading their miners one way or another. You have manufacturers that provide really cheaper miners in general. So it's a great opportunity to get in, even to kind of just dip your feet in, play around with it, see if you like it, and take that opportunity to expand. Just like I did. Everybody has to start somewhere.
Yeah, I think it's the same, right? Like even now, like cryptocurrency is cheaper, it's also a good place to start. So the same can be said for mining, at least for those listening in. Like if you're looking to purchase your first miner or something, now could be a good chance to also get in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just as someone who doesn't really know about as much as you do, so I want to know how do you keep a strong mind? Like how do you, because the price is going up and down. Like how do you keep a strong mind, like a strong psychological mindset to just stay strong and keep mining and keep doing what you're doing right now?
So also a great question. I'll tell you what, that's something that you earn over time. The first few cycles, it was nuts to me too. I mean, and it was way more volatile back then. I think this is something that's more psychological and everybody has to go through at least a few times, and then naturally hardens you over time. But I tell people never invest more than you can afford to lose. If you're stressing too much about your investment, you probably overinvested. So don't overinvest. Don't get to a point where you're stressing out over the performance. Do it all mathematically, do it logically, and just stay very logical when it comes to it.
We can apply the same, kind of most of the investments, right? We're gonna cut that out and put it on our social media, play over and over.
Sure, that's fine.
Yeah.
How about okay, Dima? So we've asked you some questions, right? Maybe there's something on your own you wanted to share to some of the speakers listening, or some of your years of experience, something you want to share.
So one of the most special things that I think over the time that I've developed with Bitmain is the strong relationship we've had. And I want to share thank you to the Bitmain staff, the community, everyone that's put in the time there, because it's very special, because it's been the bread and butter of my operations I've had over the years. And I just want to share that thank you to Bitmain for being there, being the forefront runner for really the mining community, because you guys, I think, are the cutting edge, the cream of the crop. So that's one of the biggest things I wanted to share. And words of encouragement, keep doing what you're doing. Miners, if you're out there, if you're a veteran miner, if you have 100 units, thousands, if you have just your first unit, get into it, stay with it. It's a lot of fun, as a hobby, as a career, whatever amount you want to put in, I guarantee you'll get back one way or another. It is an incredible time to get in the industry, and welcome to Bitcoin and crypto in general.
Yeah, but always mine smart, right? It's not like,
yes, mine logically.
You have to do your own research.
Stay strong.
There's so many people in the industry who lost, but then, some people just say like, once you get into mine, you also got to do your own research and, mine smart,
Yes, yes.
You got to always look at things very logically and very mathematically. So just do the numbers anywhere you are. Look for good electricity rates, work with your local utilities, but it's a lot of fun, and you guys will have a lot of fun in the industry.
But like being in the US, like, have you noticed like, a jump in like, renewable energy from what you see there happening out for Bitcoin mining?
So naturally, any miners will gravitate towards the renewables because renewables provide the cheapest form of electricity. So for instance, in my personal experience, that took me to Washington, where you had a few counties that had some of the cheapest electricity. And that came from renewables, that came from the dams over there, which provided plentiful energy. So that naturally provides a natural surge towards miners. It attracts the miners into those. And it encourages the utilities to continue providing those green energies to work with miners. So I think it's a natural course where miners will always gravitate to those geographically stable regions, electricity-wise.
So basically, it's just saying like, where there's cheap electricity.
Exactly. But again, don't let that discourage you if you have expensive electricity wherever you are, because you can always use the byproduct heat, like I mentioned earlier. Think of ways to heat anything up, a warehouse, a house, anything you own, an apartment complex, a store, anything you can do. It's a great way to heat anything up. Use that surplus heat one way or another.
What did you do to utilize the exhaust heat, for example? Just curious.
So my exhaust heat was primarily to keep the warehouse warm, and the rest of it I used evaporative cooling. So it kind of exhausted it out. Nowadays I warm up a few duplexes, houses, and apartment complexes.
Really
Like
cool.
the garage, pretty much. So I use excess heat that way, but then personally.
I love how the industry is going. Like I've actually had a few meetings with some companies, like how they utilize the heat from the miners. Like they actually install like heating and like, for example, mining for like school buildings, or like utilizing it for growing agriculture. So it's just great to see like how the industry is developing. Like before, I think the narrative for mining is like, wow, it generates so much heat. But then now, like you see, like these different companies, this industry is just adopting the byproduct of mining and turning it into money or turning it into new opportunities. So I think you can really see like how how the industry is adopting mining, adopting cryptocurrency, adopting Bitcoin. So it's just great to see. I think Dima, you've seen that throughout the years, right? Like people just like coming in, coming out, but then like there's also some change, some improvements.
Yes.
Oh yeah, and I think that's going to continue. There's going to be always efficiency grades where people look at how they can optimize and integrate Bitcoin in their products one way or another. And I think we'll continue to see that in the next 5, 10, 20 years. And we'll see more mining-based solutions at home, at the office, really anywhere as a byproduct. I think we might actually see less and less general heat products, general like furnaces and otherwise, as people transition more on having maybe a at-home farming one way or another, commercial grade as well. I think we'll see more and more mining products providing that heat.
All right. Yeah. So I think we're gonna be. Thank you so much, Dima, for joining us for this and sharing us your experiences on mining. Like and thank you. We'd also from Bitmain, we'd also like to say thank you for just sticking around with our company over the years. It's just good to know, like, we have like very good reviews from you, like satisfaction
Yes.
with our company.
I'll tell you what, it's my pleasure, and thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. So I think the next part of our event, right, is we're gonna call in like Lynn to talk about
Yeah.
the coupons and the programs that we have for S1 and S2. So we're
Yeah.
gonna hear about it.
Okay. So it's about the activity of the ANTMINER coupon S1, S2, but how does it work? I will do a screen sharing with a second. So it would be very easy. Just wait a second.
Yeah, I don't think we see anything yet, right?
Wait a second. Okay. Right now.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yes, here we go. Yes, this is ANTMINER. So you can see the page, right?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, so you can see this is our coupon, page. So you just need to the redeem coupon and then write some information, type some information into the blanket, into the blanks, and then you submit. And then you need to, send the emails, send the miners to the place that we ask you to deliver it in, in the USA or in any other countries. Then you can earn some coupons like this.
So these are currently for the S1s and S2s, right?
Yeah, it's currently for absolutely. To be honest, this activity is closed. So this is a past page, and in the future, we will launch new activities for S3 and S4. And this is only for S1 and S2. Yeah, this
So
is very easy. Yeah.
Dima has some S3s.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh,
We're waiting for you to join.
click the coupon.
Yeah. The aim that we launch this activity is to, reducing electronic pollutions. Because sometimes it's hard to, deal with these old miners. Old miner because they have a lot of electronic device and some hard to deal with it. So we launched this activity. First is to reducing electronic pollutions and also helping the industry more sustainable. And also, we want to send some coupons to our loyal customers since you bought, old ANTMINERs, from a very early time. You're really loyal customers, so we'll give you some coupons. Therefore, BitMine, we will plan to carry out the second phase of our antique and miner coupon campaign from October 10th to November 10th. And the recycling models are S3 and S4. So Dima, are you interested in it? Except the coupons, we will also give to the users who participate in these activities the surprise the miner NFTs. That means, Dima, if you deliver your miner to us, we will give you a special NFT, and the NFT will be connected to some special benefits in the future. So it's not only about money. It's coupon. Also, we want to be thankful to our loyal customers. We will give you some coupons to thanks, being so loyal to BitMine, and you want to deliver your miners to us and to help the environmental protection. And except this, we will also give you a special NFT. It will be connected to the future benefits. So I can't tell you more details, but please stay tuned. Yeah.
Wow.
And yeah.
Still a secret, but now I'm even interested.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Yes.
The second phase of this coupon campaign for S3 and S2 will start from October 10, and more details we will let you know. Just please follow our website and follow our Twitter. You can see all the details in that time.
I'll be waiting.
Yeah.
Everybody will be waiting.
Yes.
I think a lot of people would be interested with this new program that's going to be out, like more features, more benefits to miners. So as you can see, like Bitmain is also trying to continuously improve the industry
Yes.
by making more sustainable world.
Yeah. We want to lead the industry. We want to lead the mining industry into a more sustainable future, and I think it's part of our responsibility to do it. And we want to do it together with all the miners, customers, suppliers, and our partners.
Yeah, and the important part is, anyone who wants to support this ANTMINER coupon activities, which means you will deliver your old miners to us and help the environmental protections. We will give you special NFT, and then these NFTs will be connected to special mining benefits in the future. So that's very interesting. Yeah.
All right.
Yuma, what do you think about it?
I think it's interesting to see. I'd love to see some of the benefits introduced, perhaps some perpetual benefits on future purchases, like percentage off or otherwise based on that. So definitely look forward to hearing details about the program.
Wow.
Coming out
Looking
soon.
forward soon.
All right. So
We're open to some questions.
yeah, so now we have a Q&A section, and
Yeah.
I think like we could answer some questions from from everyone. Okay. So give us a second, guys. We're gonna go over the Q&A questions.
Yeah.
No. Let's see.
I can see X-May being is very popular. They all love
Yeah,
Billy.
actually, it looks to be very, very
I love
popular.
your laugh. You're so cute.
It seems I have a crazy fun. Who are you?
Oh,
Germany? Wow. Yeah. It's so interesting.
yeah. We see that there are people asking about sustainable mining. Like what kind of, like from your experience, what kind of tips or suggestions that you can give the current miners about sustainable mining, or what's your tips about like what the big companies can do in order to embrace the sustainable future? Like what do you think?
In general, I believe that improving efficiency over time, that's one of the biggest things that obviously the manufacturers can do. And I think we're seeing that pattern where the chips are more and more efficient over time. I think education with a lot of the utilities and having an open dialogue with all the utility companies out there, being honest, transparent about everything will lead to better demand and anticipation of demand. So naturally, as I mentioned earlier, it's going to gravitate towards more and more green areas. So again, look for those areas that hydroelectric dams, big maybe solar farms in the area. There's a few geographically great areas, research into those. I think over time, it's naturally going to gravitate that way, because if it doesn't, quite honestly, businesses doesn't work out. Business will always gravitate towards the best and greatest out there. So it's my words of advice.
And I think like in the US as well, like I always see like there's a lot of education. I mean, in our industry at least, there's just always like education going around. So I think naturally these things just happen as well. Like, sustainability, improvement of technology. So our industry just improving,
And also I see another question about like, because you talked about you must have a lot of logic behind mining. Like, what do you like? There's someone like interested. Like, what did you study? Like, what was your background?
So originally, I studied computer science. I got into some programming. I got into business. Before I got into crypto, I did a lot of wholesale. I buy a lot of containers from China and I'd resell them like on Amazon, eBay, and otherwise. So logistics was a lot of my specialty early on. So I learned a lot about shipping, which helped out, obviously, all my business dealings. Like I said, very special time in the industry, and look forward to the future.
So you must be excited for, like our future products as well from Bitmain, right?
I can't wait till you guys announce the 21s,
Yes.
23s, 25s. You guys are like Samsung phones.
Samsung phones, yeah.
Wait, like once we start adding like Ultra, then we'll see.
Right.
Yeah, but I think when we had this event also in Miami, our WDMS this year in Miami, we
Yes.
also revealed like our future lineup for hydro products, especially for the ant space containers. We already have a timeline for those coming out, so there's really a lot of great adoption, and possibilities for hydro cooling moving to the future.
I think liquid cooling is definitely big in the future. It already is. Some of the biggest facilities in the world, mining facilities, use hydro cooling, either through immersion, water tank, a lot of different phases. You can do single, 3-phase cooling. So that's going to be something that continues to improve over time for sure. But again, you still have exhaust heat off that, and think of ways to use that exhaust heat. That's all to the miners out there.
Yeah.
And our WDMS is coming up.
Yeah, and our WDMS is coming up on November. So
November, yeah.
yeah, so that's something to look out for as well.
So Cancun, in Mexico, Cancun, right?
Yay!
So a really fun place.
Yes.
To meet with the
can't wait to go
Bitmain
there.
team, to
Yes.
discuss mining and about, this is how we do it every year, right?
Yeah.
Bitmain is always here to, push the industry further, but of course we also want to make it fun for the industry.
Mhm.
We're going to be inviting a lot of people to the
Yes.
event, a lot of good speakers. So we also look forward to everybody joining us this time.
Yeah.
So we're going to be
Yeah.
sharing more information about the event, in the coming
Yeah.
days.
Mhm.
Yeah, and Dima, hey Dima, we will send you an official invitation later to our WDMS in November.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I look
We
forward
invite
to
you.
meeting you
Yeah,
guys
yeah,
in
yeah.
person.
And we will give you some special gifts. And thanks for
Awesome.
attending this live stream this time. Yeah.
Hey, thank you guys for having me. Seriously, thank you so much.
It's our pleasure.
Look forward to see.
So now we're meeting online. The next time we meet offline. right?
Yes.
Oh, we're gonna have some fun for sure.
Oh, look forward to that.
All right. So thank you everybody for joining.
Thank you.
Yeah, we had a really good talk today. Then always stay tuned for our future events where we share more about mining, about new innovations from Bitmain, about what we're doing. So thank you very much for taking your time, and we look forward to seeing you in our future events. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.